Hello and welcome to another episode of Movies with Mom. I'm your host, Josh, and with me is my co-host,
Melissa.
And this week we saw Money Monster. And this movie stars George Clooney and Julia Roberts and Jack O'Connell as the host, director, and hostage taker, I guess, of a news studio. And it was, I don't know, it's kind of hard for me to pitch this movie or describe this movie.
I'll do it.
You do it.
Okay, because I liked it. I thought it was so it was about basically a guy that wanted to show the world how screwed up the system was and how they can just hide it and it's just a news blip in our life and we don't even notice it. To me, it was him trying to prove a point and to tell other people, because he really wanted to be heard, was the point, that the system is broken and that the rich get richer by stomping on the people that don't have money in the first place.
What to him is a lot in his entire life savings is to George Clooney's character, or Walt Cambry, who's another one of the characters in this who has a lot of money. It's really not much at all.
Yeah,
it's nothing.
It's all relative.
They wipe their ass with his life savings.
Totally. The most money he'll ever see at one time.
Yeah. But yeah, this movie, I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. I liked it.
Let's get into that without spoiling anything.
I just thought that they did a really good job on picking the people to play the characters. First of all, I thought George Clooney did a great job doing one of those financial goofy guys. God, I tried to watch some of those shows when I was doing some investing, and it's really annoying. But you do believe them, like you trust in them to. You know, if anyone, they have a damn show about it. Why wouldn't they know the market better than you? So you really do put your trust in them.
His character was very cringy and difficult to watch with how, like, campy everything was.
Are.
But yeah.
They're like, ding, ding, like the stupid sports shows where they're like, ding, 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 pay attention to me. Ding, ding, you know, and a lot of frills and shit to make you pay attention.
The buzzers and, like, all the flashing lights and stuff. It's crazy.
It's like a casino. That's what draws you to a casino is a flashy light. So... basically in the sound, you know, but, that character reminded me, I can't remember the guy's name, but there's a character just like him on a financial show.
Yeah. That's
very similar to that. So that was very relatable. And then the movie is about this guy put in his money into this talked up stock on this Money Monster show. That's very similar to these other money shows. And he talked it up so much that this guy put his money down. The next day, the market crashed on that particular stock, and it was all blamed on an algorithm glitch. So it's a loophole way of just going, sorry, we don't know what happened to your money.
Let's talk for a moment about the reviews that this movie is getting. There is someone that I saw review this that I usually agree with, Chris Stuckman on YouTube. I tend to, but not always, agree with him. And he gave it a B grade of some kind. I don't remember if it was B-, B+, or just a flat B. But he gave it a B, and that was enough for me to be like, all right, I'm probably going to enjoy this movie, at least relatively, and I did. But on IMDb, I'm looking at right now, it's got a 6.7 with 1,413 reviews.
Wow.
And on Rotten Tomatoes, it's got a 55%, which is a rotten score.
Wow.
And I don't know if you know much about Rotten Tomatoes.
No, a little bit. But...
Rotten Tomatoes, its score 55% doesn't mean that it's a 55 out of 100 or a 5.5 out of 10. It means that 55% of the people who saw it liked it. 55% of the people who saw it gave it at least a 6. Everyone else gave it less than a 6. And the average rating for this is a 5.8. So people seem to think it's a very average movie on this.
I liked it. I thought it was...
With 130 people.
It had things that kept you interested, and it laid it out well and all of that, I think. But
So then,
believable characters. I liked the... Again, not spoiling too much, I liked his girlfriend character. You know, there was a lot of things I thought were very clever in the writing and the directing.
Jodie Foster directed this. I don't know if we touched on that.
No.
In the words of the old man who sat next to you when we left, Jodie Foster, remember her?
Yeah, no kidding. She's so, like, quiet and just, you know, to herself until she really picks her things to work on. She doesn't just do anything, so I usually like most of her films.
I forget what it is, but she did a movie where, like, some woman's daughter disappeared. Or maybe she played the mom and the daughter disappeared. Maybe she was the actress. Flight Plan.
Oh, yeah, that was good.
That was pretty... Well, it's got 6.2 on IMDb.
People are very, very strict on their ratings, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's not a terrible thing, but...
Do we get a 0.2s, 0.3s ours, or what? Cause...
If you want. I've given mine 0.5s before, and 0.25s, 0.75, but I've never gone, like, 0.3s or 0.6 or anything. Because at that point, who cares?
Exactly.
I give it an 8.63275 continuous.
I'll just do the 5 cookies thing because it's easier.
Is it the cookies thing?
For me.
Is that easier?
I like Mama's cookies.
All right.
So I give this a 4.5 cookie.
4.5 cookies out of 5?
Yeah.
All right.
I liked it.
I probably give this a... Actually, before we get into spoilers, and before I give my rating, I want to point out one main reason I like this movie is because Jack O'Connell, who played Kyle, the hostage taker, such a phenomenal performance. So good. So I felt so bad for this guy. And at one point I leaned over to you and told you how much I want to hug him.
Yeah.
Just because I felt so shitty for the situation he was in.
Because you get $60,000, it's life changing, and you set it on black and it's gone the next freaking morning.
And he portrayed that. He portrayed that heartbroken, like, desperate guy so well.
I could feel the pain.
And mostly because of his performance, I'm going to give this movie 7.25.
Out of 10.
I don't really want to go to 7.5 because that's my I would buy this movie territory, and I don't think I would. But 7.25 out of 10 for me, mostly because of Jack O'Connell's performance. And from here on out, we're going to be talking about spoilers. So if you want to see this movie without hearing any spoilers, head on out. So Kyle walks onto the set of this Money Monster show starring Lee Gates with 2 boxes. One that's for Lee and one that's for Walt, the owner of the company that he lost all his money in by investing in.
Yeah. Exactly. Everyone thought he was a stock delivery guy, which I almost thought, and the first thing I thought was, how has this not already happened? Like somebody gone in there with a gun into a live studio audience and forced themselves on TV to get their point across. I could see that happening in a real life scenario.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the reason he puts blame on Walt is clear, because he's the owner of the company that seems to have just miraculously lost the money in some weird glitch that's so bizarre. But he also blames Lee because Lee told him that putting his money in this stock is safer than putting it in his savings account.
Yeah, they say all kinds of things on those shows that are just crazy. They'll say put all your money in this basket, or they just get really like flamboyant about everything, and they just, if you don't put your money in here, you'll lose all your money. You won't have any money for your kids, and they really make you feel almost guilted into believing them. I've seen quite a few of them, and it was pretty realistic in that sense, I thought.
Yeah, it was hard to watch and campy, but like if I hadn't seen that show exists before, Mad Money, then I would have completely doubted that this show could possibly exist in any world. But because I've seen clips from that, it's not as weird as it sounds. It's very realistic in that sense. But you mentioned that how has this not happened before? I thought that same thing, specifically at the moment where when he came on dressed as the delivery guy, the director said, "Hey, watch him with that camera, get a boom mic on him." I'm just like, why the fuck would they do that? If a delivery guy wanders onto set, you don't say like, "Oh, give him a shot. Let's see where this goes." That was a little
weird.
It would be like,
I wasn't sure why they were doing that.
Keep the camera off him. Tell him to like come over to like get the boxes and then get him off the set.
Maybe the show was a little bit based on sporadic stuff that happens.
It seemed like it because Lee goes off on his own tangents a lot, which they
did.
talked about, and they even had their code word Sacagawea, which, fun fact, it's actually pronounced Sacagawea. There you go.
So she said that a lot through the film.
She said it a lot. Basically, it means shut up, stop what you're doing. Because he would say that, he would start talking about, like, why do you buy the Dow? Oh, it's because we always have it as the first one that pops up in the stock market thing. But why does it pop up there? Because you guys keep buying it. It's a circle. While she's telling him to shut up the whole time. And it would also happen when he antagonized Kyle. She would be saying Sacagawea to get him to shut up about that.
Yeah. So basically, I thought she did a great job as the director of the fake television station and show, and I thought that would be a realistic portrayal of how she stayed around towards the end, even if if she didn't care because like she was about to leave that station, she still stuck around. You know, she tried to get all the people out that she could in the beginning, but leaving the important people because she knew the guy wanted to be on air, and that was the only thing that's going to save Lee's life. But
I don't feel like she was doing it as a way of like staying prime time and like look at the quality of the stuff we can advertise. I don't think she was coming from a place of greed.
I don't think she was necessarily, but all journalists have that.
Sure, but I feel like she was more of a journalist than a lot of. She was an honest journalist, and that she also was like saying that the talking points that lady had were bullshit.
Yeah,
there's a point where there's a character who can sort of explain the glitch to the best of her ability, and she's sort of giving a runaround. And not only does the hostage taker, Kyle, catch on to that, but so does the director of the show, who's like, she's just doing her PR talking points. She's not actually telling us anything.
I also like the twist where they were like a real news station, which doesn't happen anymore, when a journalist actually pursues a story to uncover the truth. And that is so rare anymore. It seems like that media is just such copycat bullcrap, smile on their face. Someone was murdered today, and then on the next news, it's going to be sunny tomorrow, you know, and that's pretty much all you hear on the news now. It's like, what the hell? But this actually followed the CEO and the corruptness of the company and was able to uncover with hackers searching and all of that and doing that technical stuff to find that the guy had been doing things, traveling to countries and making deals. There's so many webcams everywhere. It's kind of, that part was kind of a little bit sci-fi, but whether it was truth or not, they could do that. But it was still kind of interesting that, you know, they broke a story and aired it live.
Yeah.
That was something I thought was good about it.
You said that you liked Julia Roberts' performance a lot as the director. Honestly, I was kind of bored by it. I feel like she didn't do much. She basically acted as Lee's conscience whenever he was going off on a tangent, which is fine and all. But I feel like other than that, she didn't do a whole lot to the plot. She didn't like really initiate going anywhere. It was all about Jack.
She also stayed very calm, cool, and collected, though, and got rid of, initially, the first thing she did was get rid of half the staff that wasn't necessary before he locked the doors. And I thought that was really smart directive thing to do. And she stayed calm and collected and ordered people to do certain things, you know, and had to make the decisions like whether to keep him live on the air or let him shoot Lee in the head, you know, and possibly save everyone else.
That's true.
And shoot him, you know, that sort of thing. So
if you like this sort of newsroom type drama, you should watch The Newsroom. It's on HBO. It's really good. I recently rewatched some episodes of season 2 and then all of season 3. And it's a similar situation where it's about a journalist who tries to only go by facts rather than by sensationalist media. Whereas I feel like it was implied, I'm not imagining this, right? It was implied that Julia Roberts' character had just come back to work for him. And she had worked somewhere else.
I don't know. I thought she was about to leave. He said, you quit last week and didn't tell me. Yeah. And then at the end, she said, so what are we doing next week? So she planned on staying. They bonded over this, basically. Yeah. It's like, okay, I'll deal with him.
Which I felt like that was weird. I feel like it was just trying to like imply a romance.
Not really, because I think it was more like she didn't like his personality on the air and the way he would just kind of do whatever he wanted and say whatever he wanted. And this made him more realize that it affects people. And so she, you know, because he changed in it and was able to literally take the villain and turn it around and try to help the villain. That's even true. Before he knew there was a bomb that wasn't really a bomb on him, he was trying to help the villain. So.
Yeah, we didn't touch on that. The vest, it's revealed a little towards the end of the movie that the vest Kyle made is actually not a real bomb.
Which we both kind of figured out earlier,
right? We figured out, I thought early on, like, as soon as he put the vest on, I thought, what if it's not a real bomb?
Yeah, I thought
and that then too, I was like, well, I mean, who knows, maybe. And then later, when his girlfriend appears in the movie, she points out that he doesn't even know his way around a screwdriver. And I'm like, well, then he wouldn't be able to figure out a bomb. Like, obviously, she was exaggerating.
Same exact thing I thought.
It's some random...
But then you're like, well, maybe he was just really good at bomb making. Sometimes people are
Well, I didn't think that.
Certain things, though.
Maybe.
Yeah. But you don't take that chance when...
I loved, like I said, George Clooney I thought was alright. I thought he was pretty good. Julia Roberts I thought was forgettable. But Jack O'Connell, fucking star performance. Like, so good.
He did.
And I actually found out, I had a sneaking suspicion watching it, even though I thought he did a great job at hiding it. He's actually from the UK.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. But his accent is so perfect.
So is the CEO guy. Actually, he's on a show I watch, called The Affair.
Oh, okay.
And he's the main cheating asshole that leaves his wife for another woman, basically. But he has a British accent, too, and you wouldn't know it.
But yeah, Jack O'Connell is apparently British, which is a surprise to me, because his accent... And I lived in New York for a year, and I still don't know one accent from another, to be honest. Also, I didn't hear that many accents. I would guess he's from Brooklyn, but it could also be the Bronx, or even Queens, maybe, I guess. But I would guess Brooklyn. And that accent was so thick and so realistic from the two that I had heard living there for a year that I actually was surprised to find out he's from the UK.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I thought even the little side characters, like the guy, the producer character, was interesting. The one that tried the boner cream and all of that. He was pretty funny. The character itself, I mean, was a funny little throw into it.
Yeah, I liked him. The very first time you see him, he says that he ran here from the village. And then later he's told, run and do this. And then later, run and do that. And I'm just like, he's doing a lot of running. That's a lot of work for this small little guy with this massive boner from 20-second erectile cream. But he was fun. And it was, I think, like, making him that comic relief character that they did was really what they were planning. This movie had a lot of good setup. Like, setting him up to have that to eventually get shot, which hospitalized, probably survives. He was shot in the arm. And then they had a lot of setup by showing Seoul, South Korea, and showing the guy who made the algorithm that allegedly glitched before revealing who he was or his role.
When it came onto the news, he was like, what?
Yeah. It was showing a lot of people watching the news, and at first you think, like, oh, everyone in this country, or everyone in the world is just going crazy over this crazy news.
And they were basically blaming him.
A lot of them were involved, though, because the Seoul guy was there. It showed one in Africa where some people went into this van and it was on the news, but really it was about the fact that they were in South Africa.
I didn't notice
that. They touched on everything just so it would be fresh and familiar when you come back.
So yeah, basically what I thought they were doing was hiding the money in another country, offshore account or something. You know, who wouldn't want $880 million? Isn't that enough for you greedy bastards? But no,
I think
they were taking it and trying to buy into another stock that was dropping, so that they could double their money and put $8 million down on black and double it to $2.1 million they estimated they'd make. So that I thought that was even more sleazy, of a curve at the end, kind of, because you think, oh, okay, I get it. He's embezzling, taking the money. But no, he was embezzling and reinvesting it in a fluctuating market that he fluctuated. So he was double embezzling, really. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, he was in control of the whole thing, which I feel like the movie handled that well by also pointing out, when Kyle has him at gunpoint and tells him to, admit that he broke a law. He says, what law did I break? And then he looks at George Clooney's character and he says, he doesn't have an answer for you. I didn't break any laws. That's just business.
Yeah.
And I felt like that was a really cool way of doing that, rather than just saying, these guys are corrupt, they broke laws.
Loophole
by pointing out that, he just played the system, and that's the fucked up part, and that's what he's at fault for.
Like that movie about the market crash for the housing.
Big Short?
Big Short, yeah, that was kind of similar, too, but in the fact that they knew or anticipated, but they didn't know for sure, but they pretty much did. They had to trust this one guy, but that guy knew for sure that this was all fake and it was about to bust and to bet on the losses of other people, So, yeah, it's kind of interesting similarity to it, I thought. But
it was a good take on the system, and I also appreciated how throughout the movie, Kyle's character, or Jack's character, Kyle, points out that they use a bunch of words that don't really mean anything to anyone, like glitch, and where people don't really understand the cloud they just accept that it's a thing that holds their data.
Exactly.
And when they hear the word glitch, they just think like, all right, that's fine. That just happens. Whatever. It's technology. Technology
And
glitches.
who are you going to sue or complain to? When you put your money down in a stock, you're risking the fact that stock might go under. So there is no one to complain and bitch to.
Yeah, and no one to blame.
Security fraud doesn't give a crap about your $60,000.
Well, I feel like they proved that point well by having, as soon as the drama ends and as soon as we're already in spoiler territory, when Kyle is shot and killed at the scene and the news cameras go off and then it just shows the guy standing at the foosball table and everyone's just watching in shock and then he just goes back to playing foosball. And I feel like that's sort of too real.
We've all been like...
Where people will just be like, man, that sucks. All right, well, that's the system. Like the CEO said, that's just how it is.
And that's kind of how the news is, if you think about it. I mean, like I said, they go, so tonight there was a murder and suicide, and then on another note, the weather tomorrow is bright and shiny. And you're just like, flip your head, like, wow, they don't... And every news station will be the same way over and over and over. You'll hear the same story on every station all day long. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling. So we're all just... And all the gun shootings and everything, I think we're just numb to it all, violence and in general.
Yeah, it's gotten to be so casual.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, that's our opinion on Money Monster, a pretty good, but kind of depressing, sad tone movie.
Because it's realistic.
In some ways. I don't want to say too much that it's realistic. Because,
no, but it's definitely possible. Someone could do this very easily.
It's a dramatization of possibility. Mm-hmm. Anyways, so that's our review. I gave it a 7.25 out of 10 and...
4.5 cookies.
4.5 cookies out of 5 cookies. Join us next week, and we'll be watching a very different movie from this. I haven't seen it, so I don't know, but I'm assuming it's very different. What movie is that?
West Side Story. My son loves musicals, so I thought he would definitely appreciate West Side Story. It's one of the original really good musicals, I think. And I watched it in drama class in 8th grade, forced to watch it, going, oh God, I don't know what's a musical. But I actually loved it, and it stuck with me for many, many years, so I think...
Do I love musicals?
Well, I think you do. You go to musicals and plays
and
stuff.
I went to Broadway shows. I must love musicals.
But you also like musicals, like, didn't you like Chicago? You like Grease?
Chicago's okay. Grease is okay.
Okay. Well, he likes musicals. Anyway.
I like movies. Some of them happen to be musicals.
Yeah, so...
I don't know if I'd say...
This happens to be a musical.
I don't know if I would commit to loving musicals, because, there are a few musicals that I love, but I don't love the genre.
This movie is more like, the songs are kind of like their way of life. It's not, like, all of a sudden they break out into song. I guess they do sometimes, but it's more like that's what they're doing in the park.
This is the one that I've heard people say is mostly breaking out into song more than any other musical.
Well, like choreographed dancing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dance fights.
Oh, yeah. It's awesome.
Oh.
You're going to love it.
I don't know. But we'll find out next week on Movies with Mom.
Word to your mother.